Do you sometimes feel like people are talking to you in a strange language that you can't make sense of? Hi, I'm Usman and welcome to another episode of Rapid Transformation TV, or RTTV as we call it. One thing that we all do in some way, shape or form is communicate on a daily basis. But because we do it so often, it can mean that we do it on autopilot and without even thinking about it, which is a big mistake. So today I'll share with you a key component from the NLP Practitioner toolkit that will really help you communicate with your communication even better. Sounds good, doesn't it? You see, all communication is a two-way street and involves the sender, i.e. the person who's talking or writing, and the receiver, yep, you've guessed it, the person who's listening or reading. Let's focus this on you being the sender who's communicating with others using your voice. But here lays the challenge, as what you intend to say doesn't always get interpreted that way by the other person. Isn't that right? I'm sure you've got countless examples of getting totally different reactions than you expected. The classic one is if you're asked, "Do I look okay?" And you may say, "Yeah, you look nice," only to get a reply, "What? Only nice?" When actually, in your head, nice might mean super hot, sexy, beautiful, or handsome. The challenge occurs in the gap that's in the middle, the space in between where the message leaves your mouth and enters the other person's ears, because they have to then decode that message, and they can only do it based upon the way that their mind operates by default, which could be very different from yours. There are at least 4 different languages that all humans can use, and I'm not talking about foreign languages here, like English, French, Spanish, or Urdu. I'm talking about the language that our brains actually use to make sense of things. These include words and phrases that stimulate our visual, our auditory, our feelings, and our logical parts of our mind and our senses. And in the same way that we all have a different preference to the type of music that we like, the flavour of ice cream we prefer, and even our appreciation of what looks good and what doesn't, well, we each have a preference in the type of brain language that we connect with more and what helps us to really understand things. So getting back to communication here, a person who prefers visual language, for example, is automatically going to use a lot more of these type of words and how they speak, how they write, without even realising it. And also, if they're hearing or reading words which help them to really see things clearly by using visual words, then in their minds, that message that's being communicated will help them to paint a strong picture for them to really hook into and resonate with. But as well as us all having a preference to either visual, auditory, feelings or logical based language, we also have a least preference too. And this is often where breakdown of communications actually happen. Because if a person who prefers feelings based language is talking to a person who prefers logical based ideas, well, things can get lost in translation. For the receiver, it's going to be a real struggle to make sense of things and for them to process it in their mind. And at the same time, the sender could be feeling really frustrated because the other person just plain isn't getting it. So breakdown in communications aren't often actually down to what's being said, but instead how it's been said instead. Just in the same way that you'll know it would be such hard work and a challenge to fully get your point across in English to someone who only speaks Portuguese. During our NLP Practitioner course, we go into this in a lot more detail so that you can develop the muscles to become more flexible in using all 4 different language patterns, and actually when you're communicating and also when you're receiving communication. This is really key when building rapport with others, marketing what you want to say, and also at those times when you feel like you want to throw something at the other person when it feels like you're talking to a brick wall. But for now, I invite you to open up your ears and really see how people around you are talking. Spot if your partners, your friends, your colleagues are talking more in visual language, auditory, feelings-based or logical words, and also notice what your default preference is too. You can then start to play with translating how you say things to them so that you match what their preference is rather than the other way around. Then have fun noticing how things just start to flow so much easier because you're now on the same wavelength. As always, I'd love to see how you get on with taking action from today's rapid transformation tip that I've shared with you in this video. So please do take a minute, jot down the insights, the light bulb moments that you've had by leaving a few words in the comment box below. I really look forward to sharing even more practical rapid transformation insights with you next time, and until then, have fun.